Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage General Manager for CA Technologies Mainframe and Workload Automation, Mr. Ashok Reddy.
Good morning. First of all, welcome to CA World. I like the Rolling Stones music on this particular song because it talks about it's never stopping. I think from a mainframe and workload automation perspective, how many of us can afford for that to stop, right? So that's why I like the analogy here, and I know Microsoft tried to use it for Windows 95, but that never worked. But I thought, given the Rolling Stones formed the group in 1962, just before the mainframe was introduced, and it has never literally stopped, right? So first of all, thank you for all our customers and partners who are here. We wouldn't be here without you. I make this point not only to my mainframe team, but my rest of my CA colleagues, right? So thank you. So we actually have, I've been here for a year now in a CA. So we have had a fantastic year in terms of all the things we have been doing, right? So we started off, I see some of you from our Mainframe Strategic Advisory Council are here. We started the year with what we call a big room planning to understand your outcomes. What are you trying to accomplish? What are the barriers you have? And then look at what solutions we need to provide, right? So we started with that. We have a lot of the user groups. We adopted Agile, not only Agile at a team level, but safe. So some of the things you'll hear today is about the value streams we are delivering. It's looking at the outcomes you want to achieve and how we can make the value come to fruition, right? The other thing is I'm very proud of the quality. We have had about 54 releases in the past year with 0 net new defects. And I know we did a survey earlier, I shared some of the numbers, but it's all of you participating, your team members participating in the Agile sprints and giving us feedback and prioritizing. Our call volumes of support have gone down. And we also have been investing a lot, right? We have hired more than 100 new people worldwide in the mainframe and workload automation team. We actually have quite a few young generation, what we call the Generation Z, have joined CA. And I'm very proud of the team and how they have picked up and starting to become mission essential for what we are trying to do. And also, I think we have a major focus on innovations, so we'll talk about that. But I also have a lot of our partners here. We're collaborating to deliver value because that's the number one thing you told us. Mainframe is an ecosystem, so we need to work together to deliver value. So that's something which you'll find. And we also have a lot more things in terms of what we are doing, different products. I won't go into individual products today, but more at a high level, what are we doing to help around the outcomes, the values. So with that, the first question is, I think everybody knows mainframe is mission critical, right? Or even workload automation. If it stops running, many countries stop working, right? We know banks don't operate, airlines don't work. But the question is, if you attended Mike Gregoire's meeting this morning, keynote, do people think about mainframe as built for change? Is it part of the innovation agenda of the new CIOs who are joining your companies, right? That's one of the questions all of us struggle with because we know it's important, it's mission critical, but how do we actually make it where it's also mission essential? To me, that is the challenge we have, right? I think this data, what we have on this chart, was something where, whether it's IDC or IBM, various studies we have done in this past year show it still runs 100% of the time, right? There is a video on IBM website on Visa. For the last 20 years, they've never had to shut down once during the holiday season or busy, or they're the world's largest payment network in some cases, but they're still running. We've got lots of large banks running on it. So I won't kind of emphasize the point, but these are all the things why mainframe is mission critical, but can it be mission essential in terms of people using that as part of their digital transformation? So the same characteristics, what you see here about availability, the transactions are going up, people see that as, oh my God, my budgets are flat, but how do I manage my costs, right? It's a good, they're seeing the growth, but they don't want, people don't want the budgets to go up. So their budgets are not going up. So connected mainframe is a great thing. It drives revenue. But at the same time, people are worried that, I have to deal with, it's a stable, job number one is security, job number one is quality, but introducing changes constantly is a big problem. So the same characteristics what makes mainframe stable and mission critical also seen as inhibitors, and don't see that as built for change from a cost perspective, from a security perspective, from a business agility perspective. So really, I think that's where I thought I will focus today is how can we make mainframe built for change, and you as people who are running these businesses in your company, how can you be the change agents to educate the new CIOs, the line of businesses, how they can leverage mainframe as part of their broader digital ecosystem. Because it doesn't have to be just mission critical, it can be mission essential. So I think one of the things I find is that, last month, Delta Airlines had a problem on a Monday. The whole airline went down, right? So people suddenly, headlines was, it must be because of the legacy system Delta is using. They use legacy and they said it's probably mainframe. We actually looked at that, right? We all looked at what happened with Delta. Delta Airlines actually runs their two types of things. One is flight reservation systems. It's mission critical. All of you took flights here probably to come here, but that runs on mainframe. The things what went down is all the things they moved off the mainframe in the last few years, which is like the flight operation system, the mobile, everything else was running on distributed systems, but if the power went down and they couldn't, the thing backed up. So in the essence, you can't design system, just mainframe is mission critical and the distributed systems are sort of, they can run and they can fail. It has to be a combined effort. So that to me is where when I talk about mission essential, it's not just about mission critical, but mainframe and workload automation needs to be part of this broader mission essential thing. So that's hopefully what you'll take away from this. And also we'll have clients who'll talk about how they're making this possible. We'll have partners who'll talk about how they can help all of you. So that's going to be the focus. So first thing is, what's built for change, right? Mike talked about this morning about cloud. Every CIO, everybody wants to leverage cloud because it provides flexibility, it's built for change, and it allows them to scale up and down as they need, self-service, all the characteristics where they feel mainframe doesn't provide, right? So that's one of the things what we as an industry and ecosystem, we want to change. And I'm very pleased to introduce the partnership we are working with IBM, where we're bringing the cloud-like characteristics cloud to the mainframe. So the whole idea here is that how can I bring mainframe as a service? How can I do the same things what you're able to do with cloud to the mainframe? So let me invite Barry Becker from IBM Global Services to come on stage and talk about the Z Cloud offering. Thank you, Barry.
Sure.
So, Barry, I think I'm sure everybody in the audience is interested in what is this offering about, what type of problems are we trying to solve, what are you seeing with clients? Can you just say a few words about the Z Cloud?
Yeah, absolutely, Ashok, and thanks for having me. So the approach that we've taken within IBM is we've listened to the market and understood that we have to bring the cloud conversation to the mainframe. The ability to have the agility, the scalability to take workloads that can be integrated with the larger business ecosystem. What has already been occurring within the distributed ranks for mission critical systems, and absolutely extending those within the mainframe as well.
Great. So I think the next question I have is, so I guess the partnership with CA, how does that work as far as how customers can benefit from the partnership?
Yeah, so Ashok, as you and I spoke about, and as our teams have been collaborating on, we've recognized that we have to keep bringing best of breed solutions into the cloud conversation within the mainframe. So when you talk about elements such as security, compliance, DevOps, those elements are critical to our clients as they look at the mainframe as a workload destination in the cloud. And CA's portfolio of capabilities that you and I and our teams have gone through really complement the value proposition that we're both bringing to the marketplace, and frankly that our clients expect. And so we're working our teams in North America to start. I'm having my sales and solution teams getting smart on those complementary CA solutions, and we're taking that message jointly out into the field with our clients in a win-win situation for us and our clients.
Okay, excellent, great. So I know that you have another session later on, you'll go into the details, so thank you, Barry. I'll talk to you
Thank you
later.
very much.
So, I mean, I think sometimes you hear, other thing people hear is like, is IBM and CA, are they investing in mainframe? Are they innovating, right? So, I mean, this is just an example. I mean, I used to work for IBM for 12 years. My son is still an intern. I'll tell you, the IBM is built for change, right? It is a company, it's lasted for more than 100 years. It's not only these things, but you'll hear a lot of things about IBM investing in blockchain and Spark on Z, and I don't believe the messages out there which says that IBM and CA are not investing, but we'll show how we can help customers. But again, I'm very proud of what IBM is doing, and they continue to innovate on mainframe. So with, I actually didn't change the slide when you came in. So this was, I think, what he was talking about, self-service and make it mainframe as a service. We'll obviously make these charts available to all of you. With that, now I want to move on to what are customers doing in this space, right? How are customers leveraging both mainframe as well as workload automation to make it mission essential? So with that, I want to, we actually have some VIP awards every year we pass out. So I want to invite 3 of our customers who have won the awards. The first one is a Vision Award, which we are giving it to Zions Bank. So I'll invite Peter on stage here. Really what they've done is outstanding in terms of when we talk about security and integrating that with mainframe and how you make that available. So congratulations, Pete. Appreciate it. You can just hang on here. We'll invite the others. The second one is the Impact Award. So Citi is, is using workload automation to really run mission-critical applications, and they've been driving it for many years, as you know. And so one of the things I found interesting is that they're really making an impact in terms of bringing the mission-critical workloads. It's not even like an IT function. You're running true business workloads. So I'm going to invite Rajan on stage here from Citi for receiving the Impact Award. Congratulations, Rajan. And then the third one is around Progress Award. So in this case, it's about, can I have both speed and control, and how do I innovate as well as provide the type of things what we want to do. You see GM here has a car on the show. They actually are innovating. They built new IT innovation centers. So I want to invite Tony here on stage to receive the Progress Award for balancing agility with control. Tony?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I just want to, given the time, I just still want to, at least the customers will want to know how you're managing it. So let me start with you. So how does, from a Zions Bank perspective, how did you go about looking at security in the context of mainframe, and how you're delivering value in the, how do you make it part of your innovation agenda?
Well, I've been in security for a long period of time, probably around 20 plus years. Started out with the ACF2 security product and worked at a lot of different installations, but I got it into security at Zions Bank because of what I've done in the past. And one of the most interesting things that came about was a product that I was looking at, and we were part of the development cycle for it, called DCD, Data Content Discovery. And in your organizations, to secure information, that's the easy part. You can secure data with the ACF2 Top Secret or RACF product, but where are you going to find the data that's sensitive in your organization? How are you going to be able to identify that? So what DCD gave me the ability to do was find the critical data sets within the organization and make sure that I had appropriate security conditions in place for that. But beyond that, DCD opened up a new world to me as far as being able to discover things I've lost. I've lost data in my files, and one of the things I look for as I created my own little classifier and said, find this in any of my data files throughout my entire enterprise. And DCD went out there and he found it. So it's not just a tool for looking at things like PCI and PHI information. It's a tool that allowed me to say, wow, I got all this data and I'm looking for where it is, not just in the production environment, but in the development environment. So somebody copies our data and puts it in the development life cycle. How many other copies do I have out there of that same information? And then what was nice about this project is that the information that I found led me into another product that we were using called CEM, Content Event Manager. And what it did was it allowed me to take the critical files that I was looking for and post alerts on it and say, okay, when these files are being used, I want to know when they're being used, by whom, and then pass that information on to the data collector, which CEM has in it, and they just announced the capability of putting it into a Splunk environment, and they provide the application free. Now, I'm a bank, and the banking industry, anybody says free to me, I'm listening. So that's how I got involved in looking beyond just one solution, but using the tool of solutions that we use at the bank together.
Great, thank you, Pete. So, Rajan,
Sure.
So I want to ask about your journey in terms of City and how you're incorporating your workload automation and others as part of your innovation agenda.
So Workload is basically, we drive a lot of batch processing in City via workload automation. And the key area which we are focusing is mostly on cross-functions collaboration across City, act as one common goals and strategy across the teams, and building up the processes and tool set exactly working in the same way what we want to see it in process, and then keep on absorbing new workload. So that's where one of the area which we are focusing on it. And other things are, we are quite a lot of drivers for change. Leadership plays a key role. And basically, we set a vision for the whole workload automation across the different actually globe and different regions. And we act as an owner, try to do a flawless executions with speed and confidence. And that's where, and basically sets a strategy and vision for the whole team, and act as an impactful driver for change.
Excellent.
So that's what
Great.
we're doing.
Thank you. We can give. So Tony, the last question for you. So how are you driving the innovation velocity within GM, given everybody talks about it, especially you're using mainframe as part of the mix? How are you making that happen?
Yeah, I may be a little more generic, and it's hard to follow the general session this morning because I think they covered it very well. I would like to say thanks for the award. This will mean a lot to our team. And this is also the first time I'll be able to go home and say I won in Vegas. So, so good about that. The first part for us, and you think about our company, we've insourced, and we're going through a lot of transformation across the board. So the first thing is great team. We've been able to build a great team, and the team, is the one who's driving this. And it's not just, our infrastructure team, it's our application team. Some of them are here. It's really a great partnership across the organization to make this work. The organization is critical. You have to make sure the organization knows what you're doing, why you're doing it, why it's important. And again, with all the transformation going on across GM, we've got a lot of support, and maybe it's easier, but I do think you have to do that. And then the last one is world-class. We've got a lot of legacy, we've got a lot of baggage, and we don't talk about that. We talk about what's world-class, and then you look at all the tools available and processes, to get to world-class, and then you start with where you are and how you get there. But I think you've got to define world-class first.
Excellent, great. Thank you very much again. Congratulations for all of you. Thank you. So all right, so I guess now we'll move on to, I think some of the, most of you are here to hear what are the new solutions we are announcing and what are the new capabilities. So in that context, I think I'll talk more about the outcomes we're trying to address and what specifically are we doing to address those outcomes. So I think the first thing is, I would like to, when we talk about mission essential, these are the 5 areas. One is, I think I actually start with, people talk about mainframe as being a system of record, but actually given there is more than 70% of the data, enterprise data, I would almost like to call it systems of intelligence, right? The data, what you have, how you can learn from it, how you can make decisions. So that to me is one of the key aspects of what we are trying to do to solve some of the problems. The other 4 areas are, like the MIPS are growing, which is a good thing on one hand, but your budgets are not growing. So how do I manage the mainframe economics? How do I get more? How do I remix my MIPS? I think 65% of the customers we surveyed, their MIPS are growing, right? It's not decreasing, it's growing. So how do I manage that is one area of focus. The second one is the business agility. How do I increase my innovation velocity? Most people will tell us, many of you have told me, don't make mainframe different. The way you make mainframe part of your innovation agenda is, it should be just like any other enterprise server, enterprise system, it should go as fast as possible, right? That's the second aspect. Then the third one is automation, and we have got lots of people retiring, we have got skills issues, and then you're bringing in people from distributed to work on the mainframe. So how do you make it easy for them to understand and drive, focus on the big picture view versus understanding the tools at the lower end? So, and how do we automate that more with intelligence? And how do I optimize my systems? So that's the third element. Then the fourth one is security and compliance. Mainframe is connected. It does, more and more companies are connecting mainframe. It's not sitting in a silo. But then that also creates the problems where people say, you should help us with vulnerabilities because anything which happens on the distributed can happen on mainframe because it's connected now, right? It's not that you can just say mainframe is, all the things we can do, but still there's problems, and then there's data, and there's lots of issues around privacy and other things. So those are the 5 elements I'll cover in terms of what we are announcing or what we are doing here, what you can learn more about in the conference. The first one is the system intelligence. For those of you who know that I'm doing actually a master's in Georgia Tech in artificial intelligence and machine learning for the last couple of years. I think it's changing the game. Everybody talks about it. IBM has cognitive computing. You talk about, Salesforce is systems of intelligence. They're driving from them. IBM, Microsoft, Google, everybody, I think they say it's machine learning first. Why is that, right? Why is that? So to me, it's about kind of focusing more on predictive way of doing things, right? You can learn from your systems, what we learn, and you use that to make decisions versus looking backward and trying to be reactive. So one of the things we are doing is to kind of look at how can I use machine learning and analytics to understand all the things, what's happening, and learn from it and improve your systems. So in that context, we are announcing a new offering called CA Mainframe Operations Intelligence. This includes the performance management, the network management, the storage management, the output and content management, all with brand new modern web UI as one thing. It's not using green screens. The second part is it's got built-in machine learning algorithms, right? So we have built machine learning, like 2 of them, I'll give you an example. If you set thresholds and you try to manage it, you get lots of false positives and somebody still has to decide. So in this case, you want to be able to decide dynamically. One of the algorithms will look at your historical data and what's coming in the last couple of weeks, and you can look at a bell curve, for example, and what are the things what you should really pay attention to. The second one is looking at more like a density of the capabilities and features. It needs little more data over a longer period of time. We have customers who come to us and give us the data. Even the last 2 weeks it has happened, we run it through these things. We find patterns and this thing which they said, we have been looking at this for last 6 months. You found this in an hour, right? So we are very happy about this. It's just a beginning. I would say that you can take a look at more detailed sessions on it, but it's really about predicting even before it happens. And mean time to resolution is becoming a problem in mainframe and workload automation. If something goes down, it costs you millions of dollars. So you don't want to wait for something to go down. So that's the first one we are announcing. The second one is focused on the business agility. So here, I think everybody talks about mainframe as stable, but it's not. You can't go fast. Many companies are still doing yearly releases or maybe you're upgrading every 6 months. Can I go faster, right? Because my rest of my systems are moving fast. So how do I increase my innovation velocity? So in that case, what are the barriers? I think some of the things what we have found is this sort of lays out some of the issues around, you do want to move fast. When you want to go to continuous delivery, one of the challenge mainframe teams have is your development and test environments are different than your production environments. So what happens when you develop and test in a different environment than what your production is? From an operations perspective, those of you from operations will say, I don't want to test them to release something every few weeks or every month, and then I have to figure out what happens because you don't want your systems to go down or cause problems. So that's one problem is how do I make shift left? How do I shift my production operations left so that I can actually develop and test in a true production-like environment, run all my tests, performance, security, everything else during development and test instead of later in the production. So that is one of the root causes what we are trying to address. The second one is there is a lot of weight, right? I'll talk a little bit about how do we apply lean approaches, just like in a manufacturing, to look at all things. Your goal should be to reduce the cycle time, improve the innovation velocity. Everything which is not in that context, you should reduce or eliminate that, right? That's a lean principle. That's what Toyota did. That's what all the GM is doing in the production. We should do the same thing in our software factory, where mainframe is a critical portion of it. So in that context, we are announcing a couple of things here. The first one, obviously, is that we have our change management solution, Endeavor. It supports Java now because as people are moving some of the COBOL applications to Java, it has tight integrations. And also it has, we have got ALC, which is a product which we are integrating with our rest of the life cycle, all the way from plan, deploy, and test and managing it. So you see some of those capabilities. But the key new offering here is this release automation, release automation connector for ZOS. And what that does is basically able to shift left, set up your development or test environment based on your production stack. Like you can look at what you have and you use that as your gold standard, be able to replicate that, automate the changes, you're able to run through the continuous delivery. So that's shipping this month. We also, in that context, you can't just automate the testing, deployment, and other things, but you also need to have a modern development environment for your developers, right? They can't be using ISPF and continue to do that. So obviously, we from CA never had a development environment for developers to use. So with that, I'm very pleased to announce a new offering in this space called CA Development Environment for System Z. This is a Eclipse-based IDE. As you know, Eclipse is the world's most popular IDE. Everybody from Microsoft have joined Eclipse Foundation, whether it's Google or it doesn't matter, whatever you want to do, developers know it, they come out of college, they know it, right? So I'm very pleased to invite a friend of mine who I worked in IBM, and he actually was part of the founding team of Eclipse, Hayden Lindsay, on stage to talk about some of the things IBM is doing to make mainframe part of the innovation agenda. Hayden?
Hey, thanks a lot, Ashok. Yeah, we're very excited to be partnering with you guys at CA on this. As you've said, and of course we say all the time, there's never been a better time for the mainframe. And I like this whole mission essential thing because we all know it, it runs the world's most mission critical workloads and houses the data, but let's see about how to make it even more essential. So that's really cool. And so of course, anything we can do to help the development situation and make it easier and more productive to do it, as you said, just like on any other platform, is fantastic. So in this case, we are proud of our IDE. We've been working a long time on it, so I'm glad that you guys are bringing it to market to more of our mutual customers. And let's hope, fingers crossed, for once and forever, we can put ISPF out of his misery. No more green screen.
All right, thank you, Hayden.
Okay, thanks a lot, Ashok.
Appreciate it. Hayden, I think he's one of those persons, if you really want to know somebody who has passion for mainframe, he has been, he's one of the most passionate person I've known in IBM. He has been talking about mainframe for many years. I've learned a lot, so thank you, Hayden. Appreciate it. So I think, in that context, let's move on to what we call the intelligent automation, right? So you have kind of focused on what we did around some of the things that DevOps. You improve your speed, you eliminate some of it, you're automating some things there. But all of us are running enterprise class systems, right? Some of you are running trillions of dollars of transactions, and if it stops or something goes wrong, it affects everybody. Like Delta Airlines was an example. For 2 days, nobody could fly, and it causes such a big mess. 2 weeks ago, I think it was Tesco, which was some breach into their systems. Bank, I didn't even know Tesco had a bank, but everybody thought maybe it's mainframe. But they actually weren't running on mainframe, but they were running on some other system, but still people can get into this. That's because you need enterprise class systems to make this happen. So from an automation perspective, how can we drive agility? Because if you can automate things, whether you're trying to optimize your workloads, because you want to shift, I think most of you are building systems where they can dynamically scale up and be able to shift the workloads. When you rewrite something in Java, it gives you flexibility. That way you can, in the future, run anywhere you want to. So I think workload automation, we are very pleased to announce a major release in terms of what we're trying to do here across the portfolio, which is, first is, it has a completely new, brand new web interface and user experience because we have been applying design thinking, and we are focused on the line of business users. Workload automation, many times people come to IT, they want to ask IT to provision systems, but what we have done is to really make it easy for the line of business so that they can actually create jobs and tasks and other things. So that's something, first thing what we have done is a self-service portal for line of business and users who are not familiar with the workload automation tools. Second thing is, it goes cross-enterprise, right? We have companies, the world's biggest phone companies to others use some of this workload automation, and they kind of, when you go and walk into a store and you buy a phone and they provision, it goes all the way from provisioning a cell phone number to all the way to the back-end systems, and you got your phone working. That's because something like workload automation goes all the way from a mobile to mainframe. So it's cross-enterprise. So customers say it's not about mainframe or a distributed or cloud, it needs to go across enterprise. So we are actually introducing several capabilities to support Hadoop. We're supporting mobile workloads. We are making it easy for you to go across enterprise, right? So that's something we are doing, and also we are supporting, Japan is a big market. They've got, localization is very important, so we're supporting, for those of you from Japan, we are supporting the globalization. Security was another one which people asked about, role-based security, given many people from line of business need to use it, so that's something we've introduced. Again, I go back to machine learning and predictive analytics. If you are able to understand where your 4-hour peak averages are, and if you're able to look at which LPARs are free, and you want to optimize that, or you want to know that every 15th of the month you're running all your bank statements and your batch jobs are kicking, using a lot of, you can understand those patterns, understand how I can predict. So the IDash offering we have, which cuts across many of our workload, is incorporating predictive analytics as part of this new release. The next part I want to talk about is security and compliance. So I think we actually feel everybody thinks mainframe is the most secure platform. Yes, it is very highly encrypted. You can even run like something like blockchain on IBM announced on mainframe because it has certain inherent characteristics. It's the most secure platform, but that goes out of the window when you connect mainframe because you have now data you are bringing in, data is going out. So last year we announced a new offering called data content discovery. It just discovered the content. It was finding data and trying to figure out how do we do it. But the challenge we have is there is lots of things which happen in the mainframe with some of the things like GDPR, the EU regulation on a privacy shield. If you are doing business or if you're touching any users in Europe, it is not even a choice anymore, right? It's in effect next year onwards there'll be 20 million euros cost, up to $20 million you could be charged. So there is I want to connect, I want to get the benefit of getting new users, I want to use the data to sell, cross-sell, but then you have the problem of how do I remove the problem? I mean, if I have a personal data and if it leaves the country I'm in, right? That's a big problem. How do you know what sensitive data we have? We talked about Zions Bank doing that. So what we are doing is we actually are introducing more of a real-time data security and compliance. We have integrated the data content discovery, first of all, was looking at data in REST. So whatever you already have in mainframe, we could find, classify, and protect the data. But now, with the new release, we actually are looking at data in motion. So if the data is motion is where most of the problems happen, because you could be bringing data, you could be moving data, you have mobile to mainframe. So how do I actually find, classify information when data is in motion, not only in rest? And then it's not only important for you to come up with a report and say, hey, here's what I found, but you also want to say when data in motion, somebody needs to know about it. There is alert, and you need to know, if you're actually breaking some PII law or regulation. So we have merged the capabilities to combine compliance, event manager, and content discovery to make it into a unified offering, so you can use them in sync. And that's something where, if you want to see the demos around, if somebody is sitting in Italy or now with Brexit, you don't want the data to leave, how can you find it? How can you classify even if it is moving? And then how do I actually prevent that from using with alerts and others? So that's something where we are spending a lot of time on trying to make sure that we support different compliance regulations. And then I think the last part I talked about was the economics, right? I think economics is the number one thing which I hear when I talk to customers, because everybody feels like, I have a new CIO, I have the same problem in CA, which is mainframe budget. Even though it's typically about 10% of the IT budget, it still stands out as one of the largest line item when compared to all the other initiatives. So people say when my MIPS are growing, if I ask how it's going, it's like, well, mainframe is strategic to us, it's growing MIPS, I'm buying new hardware, Z13s, but my budget, I can't go out. My CIO is telling me I need to manage it within this, or I may. So if I want to buy a MIP, I need to save a MIP, right? One CIO said this to me. So it's basically the thing is what we are doing is to apply this lean approach. So lean is really, if you look at this on the right side, the downtime, right? It kind of stands for the acronym. That's what it was about. It's about looking at all the things what happens in your system, in a software factory, just like your production environment. How do I actually remove the defects? Are we overproducing, right? In the sense, sometimes you may say, I've got capacity overhang with my MIPS. I've reduced some of the software, but my costs are still not reduced. So understanding where your overproduction, where you have defects, how do I reduce the inventory of excess things? So you may have overlapping products, you may not be using them. You got employee knowledge, the motion, things like that, right? So we actually have best practices. We have adopted the agile lean within CA. We have about more than 1,000 people with about 110 Scrum teams. Many customers ask us for best practices. How are we doing it? I mean, it's a process. We are doing it. We are learning. We can share. We can even conduct a safe experience day to bring some of you. But that's something where we are doing a lot to address it. So, as I said, I won't go into the individual products. Every product we have shipped this at CA World, one of the things we have done is to support specialty engines, right? So DHL is an example where they're using IDMS. They just got our latest version of IDMS. They saved 55% because we enabled specialty engine support. It's one of the largest databases. Remember, DHL runs worldwide. Every product of us has a list now, how much improvement we have made on specialty engines. So that's a way of saving and helping with you. And same thing with Sysplex. Many of our products weren't supporting Sysplex. We used to make it IPL. We support Sysplex in most of our products. It again comes down to the cost of delivery. So there's quite a few things we are doing in that, improving performance. We benchmark every product so that they don't use up as MIPS. And one other thing I want to announce is we are announcing a new cloud SaaS-based offering called CA Conversion Service. So this is what it does is, it's a cloud-based. Many of you have overlapping products and you're trying to standardize on tools and you're trying to consolidate a number of vendors. So what we are doing is working with partners to make it easy for you to look at what you have and how do I go through the whole process of understanding what data, how do I migrate. And typically we see a 25% savings in the labor costs and services to migrate so that you can standardize it, right? So this is an offering we are making available for the partners initially, and I know Stephanie and others are here. So we'll be working with partners initially, but we'll make it available to all our customers. So with that, I think we have all the other pieces which we can talk about, but I wanted to just at a high level say, for those of you who are here and said, what about my product? You didn't talk about Gen, or we actually have every major product we have. We've got a major release. As I said, we have adopted not only Agile, Safe, we release every month, right? Every quarter we have is a release, incremental release, all mainframe. In fact, CA CEO, he has said this openly that mainframe team is the most agile in CA because we have adopted Safe, we are delivering and the quality, you ask our customers, all of you know, you have given us ratings. So one thing I would ask is, we are running our NPS survey again. We got great scores last year, but I focus more on how can I get the highest scores possible. Not only you can promote us, but also the ones where it's causing you heartache. What are the problems you're having? So we have a survey running right now across all our products, mainframe and workload automation. So I would ask you or your team members to participate and give us feedback because that helps us improve, right? I know we are not perfect, we continue to focus on it. But again, we have got lots of things like multi-factor authentication. We shipped that earlier this year. It wasn't announced last CA World. Very few people know about it, right? It's actually, if you have ACF2 or top secret, you are entitled to it. You're actually able to use it with no cost because what we are doing is, instead of nickel and diming every product and SKU, if you already have our offerings, any new capability, if you want multi-factor authentication, we'll make it available to you. So take a look at that, and it also supports RACF if you want. That's the only SKU we have. We are updating that. The security team can give you a demo. We've got lots of things around CA Gen. I see Aline here, and her team have done a fantastic job of supporting different environments, Windows 10. I was in Japan. They're using a lot of that. So we are doing it. So we're not ignoring things, and I also I see that there's a book giveaway, The Art of Scrum. Dave, who is supposed to be the world's strongest mainframer, believe me, you can see he can bend iron and things, pans and everything else. He'll give you live demonstration. So he has written a book on the art of Scrum. He's one of our champions, agile coaches. So I would recommend talking to Dave. So with that, I think we have a lot of things going on. I'm actually extremely pleased in terms of what we have been able to accomplish this past year. Again, in order for you to take back to your company as far as a change agent, I would say focusing on how do I leverage the data you have and the systems intelligence, applying machine learning, you have so much of data. Second part is economics. We talked about zCloud, we have got a conversion service, we are improving support for specialty engines. Can you look at which ones should refactor with Java and rewrite in Java? Everything will help you with economics. The business agility, looking at the life cycle time and looking at all the waste, automating the deployment, the testing, using the new CA developer for Z. I think we are providing that end-to-end, and that would hopefully help you to improve, and we are not treating mainframe as a separate thing in that context. So mainframe can be mission essential, and I also talked about security. You don't have to prevent security concerns from making mainframe connected and be part of the mission essential as part of the software factory. So with that, I'll leave with this last thought, right? First of all, I find I'm very privileged working in the mainframe and workload automation. It's not one of those where you wake up in the morning and feel like, what do we all contribute to the world? And what I think that I find when I talk to customers, all of you are running the world's most critical systems. You keep world safe, the border safe. We've got lots of things, and if something goes wrong in JFK or in Las Vegas airport, sometimes we get a call saying, is that our problem? So it actually makes me feel good that we all are mission essential, right? People can talk about legacy and others, but I think it's something is working. It's mission essential, and it's not only mission critical. And I think you all can be change agents. And what I would hope is that you can show mainframe is built for change. And we, CA, as well as our IBM and our partners here, are here to help you. I hope you have a great conference.